Welcome, lords and ladies, back to the realm. I'm your host, the Go King, and today I want to talk about the dreaded bloat, specifically in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Our D&D 5th Edition cousins may have considered Pathfinder 2nd Edition bloated at the core rulebook, so it isn't lost on me that bloat is very subjective. In a hopeless attempt to make this less subjective, let me lay out some categories for what I will be calling bloat. The first category of bloat is when the choices cause analysis paralysis. You may have plenty of cool options, but if you fall victim to this phenomenon, your enthusiasm will quickly dwindle. In my experience, there are normally two factors that cause analysis paralysis. The first is when it's a one-time decision, which puts pressure on you to choose correctly. The other is when your options aren't distinct. If your options were distinct enough, you'd be able to quickly and more easily sort through them and eliminate a lot of them and thus avoid analysis paralysis entirely. The second category of bloat is the problem of finding the material. Searching in one book is a piece of cake. 2 books is par for the course. When you get to 3, it's how much space do you think I have on my table? If your class feats, archetype feats, or other specific category of game mechanic is too spread out, it becomes exponentially harder to reference. The third and final category is perhaps the most infamous: power creep. Invalidating old game options with new, more powerful ones is extremely poisonous to the game, and also very difficult to avoid as time goes on. Not only does this turn old material into overpriced paperweights, but it also makes the game unduly difficult for new players to pick up, play, and enjoy. So how does Paizo fight bloat in Pathfinder 2nd Edition? In short, very carefully. In long, there are 3 major strategies I've observed that are serving Paizo well. The first is strict balance. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say creating a perfectly balanced tabletop RPG, especially the more game-focused RPGs like Pathfinder and D&D, is impossible. All the more reason to commend the quality work that went into Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Those efforts combined with the open playtesting of new content continues to fight back the harbinger of power creep. How long can they keep this up? I have no idea, but strict balance isn't their only tool. Themed books carry a lot of weight in preventing bloat, not only because they make it easier to find the things you may be looking for, but also because they allow you to curate your game, removing whole swaths of content that aren't necessary to your players and story. Pathfinder is not solely supported by its publisher, however. Both direct partners, like Archives of Nethys, and third-party products like the Pathbuilder app contribute to the effort of fighting bloat by making it easier to comb through and find the game elements you're looking for. The reason I'm making this video is because, unfortunately, I do believe Pathfinder 2e is starting to face bloat, specifically in the Lost Omens setting books and with backgrounds. If I want to play a Pathfinder, the archaeologist knowledge-seeking faction in the Galarian setting, my options are not only spread through, but also interwoven between at least 3 different books. And choosing a background, especially if I include options from the Lost Omens line, leaves my head spinning for much longer than this mechanically small choice should. Well, the background problem might just be me. My character ideas typically start as a playstyle, and then I hunt for game mechanics to match, often retroactively adjusting the style, before building out the story and roleplay aspects. Because of this, I usually don't have a good idea for backstory until after I've combed through a dozen backgrounds. In short, I believe this instance of analysis paralysis bloat is probably rare, if not exclusive, to people approaching character creation from a mechanics-first perspective like myself. All that said, I don't think the Lost Omens problem is so niche. It's also a much tougher problem to solve. This bloat is caused by the structure of the Lost Omens line. These books start out broad, like the World Guide and Character Guide, before moving to more and more niche elements of the setting, like the Pathfinder Society Guide. Because of this, the options relating to a specific part of the setting are often spread through several books, starting from the World Guide and going down to their specific book. This web of material will grow ever harder to reference in its totality as the Lost Omen line grows. Honestly, I don't see how the writers and designers could have organized these books to limit bloat without damaging the utility of the setting books. This seems as much as I hate to admit, like a problem we have to manage on the consumer side. I have a bad habit of trying to take in everything at once, and that especially applies to the places I've spent money. I want to use all these books and play all over the world of Golarion, but it seems the best thing I can do to preserve my games and limit the effects of bloat is to take my time. Do you have any ideas for how both Paizo and the community can manage this specter? Do you even think it's a problem to be concerned with? Regardless, thank you for visiting the realm. I've been your host, the Goat King, and as always, travel with loyal companion.